Everybody, how's it going? I know I already talked about the importance of fathers being in the home, and I talked about what I learned from my father in particular. But I want to talk about things like when men leave the homes, when they leave their wives and children behind. Is it as cut dry as it sounds? Or is there always something behind why a guy leaves? Now, listen. I'm not going to condone a guy leaving his children behind, because children cannot fend for themselves. They can't provide for themselves. Like most of them can't. Most kids around the world can't provide for themselves. And even when they do, they struggle because their minds aren't as developed as it should be when they go out there to fend for themselves. Which is why a lot of kids end up being trafficked. They end up being slaves. You understand? They live their lives in slavery. Alright? So, let's talk about why men leave the homes, right? Do men leave the home because they can't handle it? They can't be a man, they can't be a father, they don't know what to do or things like that? Or do they leave because of other ulterior motives? Right? And that's something that we really don't talk about. We don't talk about why men truly leave a wife and child, or wife and children. Right? Why that man abandoned them. Why don't we talk about why the men abandon them, right? Of course it's horrible when a man abandons, his wife and children and leaves them to fend for themselves, especially if the wife isn't working. That's horrible. That is horrible. As a man, you should never walk away from doing what you're supposed to do. And listen, I don't care how bad the situation is, right? But you never abandon children, no matter what. You never abandon children. You just have to take the bullet and bite it. You have to bite that bullet, right? Because you within yourself decided to get yourself in that situation. Sometimes you were warned. Sometimes you saw the signs. Sometimes you ignored it as a man, and you still decided to get in that situation, right? So guess what? You have to bite that bullet. You have to sit down and bite that bullet. You have to be a man. You have to be resolved, and you have to bite that bullet. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, let's move on to talking about why men leave. Because we never talk about different reasons why men leave. Why men abandon, why the man goes missing. Alright? And let's talk about the relationship that this man might have with his wife or his baby mother. Alright? We're going to talk about that. Because I think it's very, very important that we talk about these things. And if we talk about these things, we'll get to the reasons why men are walking out on people. Because we love to care about what the results are. But we don't like to care about what caused these results. We don't like to care about what started these things to happen. Alright? So let's talk about why a man leaves. Sometimes a woman's attitude sucks. And it sucks ass. And let's not lie about it. Women's attitudes sucks ass. It's horrible sometimes. Sometimes you can't live with a woman. Right? Sometimes you can't live with a woman. Her attitude sucks. Her behavior sucks. And men just don't want to deal with that. A man would rather walk away than to deal with a woman with a bad and horrible attitude or bad and horrible behavior. Now, when I mean attitude is what she's doing, like how she's treating you. You understand? The respect that she has for you, the type of respect that she has for you, or the lack thereof. While behavior is what she's generally doing outside of the relationships or when you're out in public. You understand? So, a woman's attitude determines a lot of things in a lot of relationships, and we're not talking about it. We're really not talking about it. Some of these women drive men out of relationships. And when I mean drive, they cause the man to leave because the man decides that I don't want to put up with it, I don't have to put up with it, and I am not going to put up with it, and I'm going to leave so that I don't have to put up with it. And we never talk about that. We never talk about a man leaving because how horrible the woman is. We live in a society where we make it okay for women to behave in any way, shape, or form, and a man should just suck it up and deal with it, and they call that manhood. That is not manhood. That is not manhood. Manhood is putting that woman in her place. As a matter of fact, a man shouldn't have to put a woman in her place. A woman should know her place as a person. She should act decent as a person. She should act as if she had a common sense of how to behave in a relationship. But because of the type of society that is encouraging women to act so toxic in a relationship and telling them that it's okay that they can behave this way, because guess what? You have a vagina, you're a female, you have feelings, and you can behave this way because it's okay. It is not okay. And this is why a lot of men are going MGTOW. They're going MGTOW because they realize how toxic, the toxic side of females have come out, and that they're not being held accountable for it. And because they're not being held accountable for it, they don't want to get into it. It's just a loss to deal with it. It is a loss to deal with it. And I'm not going to sit down and lie about it just because I'm a married man. My wife and I, we have our, like I keep saying every video, my wife and I, we kick teeth sometimes. You understand? It's not always a super happy relationship. We have our ups and our downs. You understand? I still wouldn't trade it for the world. But what I'm talking about is the toxic behavior of majority of the women in today's society. How it's not held to a certain standard. How it's just held to anything goes for a woman, and the man should just be happy that he's with that woman. We're so into devaluing men in the society that basically when these things happen, like when women are so toxic and abusive in a relationship and a man leaves her, he gets the stone, he gets the stick, he gets the bullets, he gets the bad words, he gets the bad image because he left her. We never talk about what that woman did to cause that man to leave. We never talk about how she behaved to cause that man to leave her. You understand what I'm saying? The thing about men is this. It's not that we don't believe that we don't have responsibilities to children, or we don't have responsibility to that woman. Some of us are just likely to say, yo, I am out. I don't want to deal with this. And I shouldn't have to deal with this. And that's the whole point. The reason why a lot of men are signing out of relationships is because they just don't want to deal with the toxic behavior of a woman. I mean, we never look at some of these baby mothers. They are just horrible people. And they are being encouraged by society to behave this way. They're being enticed by the government to behave this way. You understand what I'm saying? The government gives them a check to not have a man in the home, but to breed with that man. That man is not allowed to have a certain visitation right with his child. What gives the woman more right than the man to that child? It doesn't. Like, nothing gives the woman more right to a child. You giving birth to a child don't give you more right to that child. And that's what we keep doing in society. We keep giving woman this pedestal of godhood to choose when she's not supposed to have choice with certain things. Right? We give her the choice to choose to kill babies or not to kill babies and claim it as this is her bodies and it's her right to choose. When in fact, she could not create that baby by herself. No matter what she says, she's not able to create that baby by herself. She should not have the right to choose to end that life. You understand? And if that man wants to keep that child, he should have the right to say, I want to keep that child. You go through the 9 months, you have the child, and then guess what? I will adopt the child, and you sign over your parental rights off that child. You don't get any visitation rights whatsoever to that child. You don't get anything like, you don't get to keep that child and get child support for that child any way, shape or form. Do you understand what I am saying? Right? So we're going back to toxic behavior of women. Like, a lot of women do a lot of nasty things that cause men to leave relationships. They cause men to just ghost. They cause husbands to leave relationships because they realize what a nasty person they have married. What a nasty person they've had a child with. And yes, of course, some responsibility must be on the man. Some responsibility must be on the man. Half must be on the man, half must be on the woman. But I'm speaking from a man's perspective, in which I say that when a woman's behavior is so toxic, a man just says F it all and he leaves. Because he's just not willing to deal with it. Right? And it's not about a man's strength, because a man's strength is for different things. He's not weak if he's walk away. As a matter of fact, a man is stronger if he walks away from something. Right? Because generally telling you, let me tell you something. You see the men who cracked, what they do? They kill their wives. Then they end up killing their kids. Right? They kill their wives and then they kill their kids. And these are men that crack. The men that don't crack, they say, F it. I'm gone. I'm done. I'm not dealing with this woman. I'm not dealing with this bitch. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is better for them to even do child support than to have anything to say to that woman or to do with that woman. The regret stretches so strongly for these men that's some of the reason why they abandon the children, like 100%, like never look back. They just walk away and never look back. You understand? And women still don't get this. Women don't get that they are encouraging bad behavior in other women. We're encouraging bad behavior in other women. And we should really and truly stop that. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, people, like I said before, one thing that we have to look at is the toxic behavior of the person that you're in a relationship with, as to why, you know, a man would leave. And just look at certain relationships. There are some relationships that a man won't even get into a relationship with a woman because from early out he realized the toxicity of that woman. And he's just like, yo, I'm not going to deal with that. I can see down the road that this woman is going to be a problem for me. And I'm not going to sleep with her. I'm not going to do anything with her. I just don't want to have anything to do with her. And then when we get down to the meat of the matter, and that's going to be my catchphrase, when we get down to the meat of the matter, we're going to realize what we need to do. And we're going to be able to produce more answers. And men are going to start coming back to the table. Men are going to stop going their own ways once we start getting the solutions. Once we stop encouraging women to behave a certain way, and once we start holding women accountable for the behavior, and we're not just talking this minute thing of holding women accountable for their behavior. We're talking about in a major way, we start holding women accountable for their behavior. Once we start doing that, men will start coming back to the table. And then society will be on the up and up again. But until then, Stay blessed, not stressed. See you guys later. Enough love and respect.